The emergence of the new tool, the adult attachment interview, is argued to now be able to offer insights into these questions and to assess the ways that adults think about attachment issues. The adult attachment interview is a schedule of questions put by a highly trained clinician to either older adolescents or to adults. Its purpose is to assess the person's internal working model of relationships. When dealing with adults and attachment, the internal working model has a new term, and it comes to be referred to as a state of mind with respect to attachment. The interview focuses on past experiences with primary caregivers, as well as attachment eliciting events such as death, separation, divorce and abuse. These are asked in order to examine how the speaker makes sense of these experiences and the ways that others have responded to them. Not being assessed are the actual events themselves, but rather how people now think and talk about them. It is the extent to which people have been able to form a coherent and integrated understanding of how relationships work that is of interest in this clinical interview. The interview is recorded and transcribed and then coded according to a complex coding system, which also requires extensive training to conduct. And it is based on a psycholinguistic analysis of the data. This means that coders pay attention to the language used by the speaker and to the way the speaker structures the accounts of the relationship experiences they have had. What coders are looking for in the data is the extent to which the person's way of talking about relationships adheres to Grice's maxims of cooperative discourse. These maxims are simply features which are thought to characterize normal communication and include, for example, the maxim of quality, so to be truthful and have evidence for what you say. Another maxim is quantity, which suggests people should be succinct but complete as they communicate. The interview data is also coded for the extent to which the speaker is able to reflect on their own or others' intentions in relationships, a concept called reflective functioning. Following this psycholinguistic analysis, speakers in the adult attachment interview can be classified according to their state of mind with respect to attachment. You'll see that these classifications map somewhat onto Ainsworth classifications of child attachment types. Individuals receiving a secure autonomous classification appear free to evaluate attachment information in the interview, and they value intimate relationships irrespective of the nature of their experiences. For example, take a look at this extract from the adult attachment interview. The interviewer asks, "Can you tell me why you chose the word cold to describe your mother?" The interviewee answers, "Because even when I was upset, she couldn't bring herself to hug me or offer words of kindness, like when my best friend moved abroad. But I know that she didn't have much care from her mother either, and now being a single mum, she has a lot of demands on her. I understand that she loved me, but didn't always have the resources to show me." Here, although the speaker reports having had a cold mother, her ability to offer a succinct, credible, evidence-based account of why her mother was like that indicates that the speaker has reflected on her relationship and has been able to make sense of the way her mother was with her. Thus, it is argued that the adult attachment interview captures an adult's state of mind with respect to attachment by assessing their ability to show an organised, consistent valuing of attachment relationships, no matter how difficult they may have been. The remaining possible classifications from the adult attachment interview show states of mind which have developed less securely. An insecure dismissing classification is given when speakers idealise attachment figures, saying, for example, that they were fantastically loving, but fail to recall any childhood experience that might evidence these very positive descriptions. An insecure preoccupied classification is applied when there appears to be ongoing anger towards an attachment figure. Each of these three states of mind suggests that the individual has developed an internal working model of relationships that guides the way they function as adults in current relationships. Individuals who show characteristics of both preoccupied and dismissing states of mind are assigned to the cannot classify category and suggest they have no coherent way of understanding and functioning in relationships. The unresolved disorganized classification is applied when the speaker appears to have unresolved issues around loss or abuse. Research with the adult attachment interview has shown that having a secure state of mind, that is, a positive working model of attachments, is highly associated with positive mental health and well-being, whilst having an insecure state of mind or a fragmented internal working model is associated with poor mental health and greater prevalence of psychiatric disorder. Researchers have argued that this confirms Bowlby's basic assumption in his attachment theory that if mental health is to be achieved and maintained, then one must have either had the benefit throughout childhood of being genuinely and consistently supported, or that they must have reached a level of understanding about themselves and others and the importance of close relationships. There is now overwhelming evidence that an infant's attachment classification and their carer's classification on the adult attachment interview are highly correlated, and that an infant's classification is strongly correlated with their later classification as an adult. Finally, evidence also indicates the power of the adult attachment interview to predict an adult's future attachment style with their infant. So there's much research that shows the relationship between infant and adult attachment styles, at least when assessed using measures that have originated in attachment theory and thinking. Whilst there is a wealth of research supporting some of the core principles of attachment theory and the importance of early relationships, there's also a body of research which challenges these ideas. Some of this research indicates, for example, that the model of attachment in adult romantic relationship is quite different to that underpinning infant-carer relationships. This field of psychological research is still very active. Indeed, at the Institute of Psychological Sciences at the University of Leeds, we're still exploring the kinds of questions that I began this podcast with, particularly around children who experience trauma and abuse, and how we might explain the long-term impact of this on their future ways of behaving in relationships. The final slide shows resources that will allow you to dig deeper into many of these unanswered questions around the core ideas linked to attachment research and theory, as well as to more advanced thinking that's currently ongoing in the UK and internationally.